Well, hello. Today is February 12th, 2025. This is SIG Node CI working group meeting. Welcome, everybody. We have a few agenda items. Francesca, do you want to get started?
Yes, hello. So it's really a public service announcement. We have this umbrella issue from Ed about moving the kubelet to contextual logging. And since they will have implications, I said, okay, let's bring it up for the wider audience, wider than people which are monitoring the issue at least. So yeah, going to approve triage so people can chime in and start working, and we'll have a bunch of PRs to move the kubelet code base to the contextual logging, so wire up context into APIs. Is going to cause, I expect, some review, more PR floating, more coordination, but I think the benefits will be big in the long run. So really, unless someone objects they or have concerns, going to be triaging will be gaining a speed in this effort.
In my understanding, we need somebody from hack folder approvers, like Dims, for instance.
Yeah, probably yes. This is one of the, let me, in very big quotes, drawbacks, but not really. Yeah, but I can help with that. I can ping a few people, so I'm willing to help in this area.
And propagating context everywhere is a very good idea. I like it.
Yeah, it's about having, the logger pluggable so you can have more information. So yeah, I mean, yes, adding context to internal APIs, but not just that is really about awareness. But yeah, it will involve adding context to quite a few APIs. So any other comments, concerns, folks?
The only question I have is, do we expect most of the PRs being like mechanical replacement, or we expect many of them being like adding a context, like starting a new context with a new
Uh, that will be okay. Ed is way more experienced in this area, also Patrick Colley, but I guess the Patrick is fully focused on the array. So I would expect some of the changes to be mechanical based on my experience, but not all of them. So I would expect some review bandwidth to be consumed, and this is indeed the reason why I brought to this audience. So this will, but we don't have to do everything in this cycle, so we can make much progress and track the pending work. So it's going to likely spawn more cycles, more release cycles.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Only question is, to rephrase what I was trying to ask last time, do we need to expedite mechanical changes first and then try to like improve logging, or we better be very cautious and like do like if we see something that can be changed and like some common variables that needs to be used across a whole, like probe, for instance, so like probe is here, right? Um, do we have to extract it in this PR, or we prioritize just reframe working everything, and then we'll come back and like do improvements in how we pass common variables?
This is a great question. For myself, I don't have an answer to. I do think there is no straightforward answer because we will need to touch areas of the kubelet which are really old and kinda, rusty. I would recommend, and from what I extract from the issue description and from head reviews, I think you will agree to be very careful and not just, mechanically adding context and call it a day, but to be mindful about what we add and why to avoid, we added context, we don't really need context, remove, add, so this kind of churn. But I think we will need to a large extent to see how it and move carefully.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Next item from can you remind you of your name?
Yes, Ayato.
Eta.
So I'd like to hear your thought about this PL. This PL is to fix our downstream CI, but I think it can be fixed in upstream, and like upstream test is somewhat too strict. So this test is to check check that the status fields, like some status fields are kept before and after the pod rejection. But it compares like all status. Because of that, like our like downstream CI failed. You can see that failure in the description of the PL.
Okay, let me switch the description.
Yeah. That URL. No, the bill one.
This one?
Yes. And click the third one. Yes. So like usually after pod rejection, they only like message phase QS class reasons that time fails. But if there is a like pod update at the same time of the pod binding, pod is synced and status is changed. In the cluster in the upstream CI, there is like somewhat plain cluster, so there is no operator to modify pod. But like in our CI, there is OVN cube to like use OVN cube as a CNI, and it changes the pod annotation and it modifies the pod, and then like it changes the status field, and it failed. So yeah, we like to like change this test in upstream because like it test is somewhat like can be used in like general clusters, and like operators that like modifies the pod the binding time is not rare operator. So I think this test should be more relaxed, like not comparing the old status, but like focus on the field that should be kept, like the change I made.
Yeah, we had a debate about it. If you look at the original PRs that introduced this test, can you clarify again, like who is writing these conditions? Is it like kubelet or it's something?
Yes, kubelet. So kubelet automatically sets the status field when the pod is modified.
So how
So
is
it
modified?
actually
My recollection is that pod was just scheduled with like very huge requested resources, and it cannot be, and it was rejected by kubelet obviously because kubelet cannot give it that much. I wonder how like
yes,
is
but
kubelet
when the
also.
pod is modified, the pod is put in the sync, and in that sync group, kubelet changes the status field.
When pod is modified?
Like when the pod is bound.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe. So you're saying it's like it's not a specific logic in your cluster. It's just kubelet have time to do extra sync loop cycle, right?
Yes. So like we can replicate this behavior in the like plain cluster.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess Sergey, to what happened, like for OpenShift, we took the 1.32 branch, and then as they were doing the rebase, they discovered that this test was failing pretty much consistently. We run the ETE node or ETE test from OpenShift with 1.32, and this was a test that we had to disable. And so we're trying to re-enable it, and what we're finding is consistently OpenShift nodes have more, or there's more stuff going on. So the comparing against the status is kind of a bit trickier here. So we want to try to reduce the scope of the test.
Yeah, it makes. Yeah, I'm just curious why it's never failed on upstream, and do we even run it upstream?
Yeah, because there is no operator that like modifies the pods.
Okay.
But in OpenShift cluster, OVN Cube does.
Yeah, I mean the output here is kind of confusing. Like I don't actually understand like what it's complaining about. It looks like there's a pod status. That pod status is valid, but then it's like the comparison. I guess there's a lot more.
Yeah, basically it's complaining because it's looking to exactly match this specified pod status, but OVN Cube has like populated all of these other fields, which the test doesn't expect, because the kubelet isn't going to have populated those fields, but OVN Cube did.
Yes, and the initial intent of this test is to check the QoS class is kept after pod rejection. So like my PL is like enough to check that, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I want to, for the reason that it makes exact comparison, is we wanted to make sure that we will catch future fields. Like in future, we may have more fields like QoS class that needs to be like preserved as well on pod rejection. And we said that maybe we, instead of allow list of what we compare, we will have allow list of compare everything and everything else. Like every new field we will catch and then decide whether it's should be preserved or it should be not preserved. So it's kind of like easy way to catch problems in future. But I see that it's making a problem here. Yeah, I guess we can change it to exact comparison for this exact. I didn't know about the scenario. And by the way, this OVN, you saying like, is this thing like OVN cube changes status, or it somehow makes kubelet to change the status?
Kubelet actually changes the status, but it was triggered by the cube OVN cube change. They changed by OVN cube.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is we have another cap in baking pod generation. So pod generation will add the observed generation field in every condition and every status. And if it's external writer, then this external writer will need to also account for generation. But if it's kubelet, it's fine. Yeah, just will work out as a box. Yeah, Francesca.
Hey, so I didn't really review the cap, so maybe I'm out of line, but would it make sense to clear the extra field and keep doing the exact comparison? The reason I'm asking is that I'm proposing is that this way we can kind of preserve the future compatibility, which was a good idea in principle, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm really asking, I don't know.
But may I ask, because I see when I compare the two outputs, the one has host IPs and the other one doesn't expect. So, and I see it has OVN, so it's open vSwitch. So I don't know if this is something related with the setup, because perhaps when they were written, they were like for end-to-end node, and then we have something with networking then, and then we get these extra fields, or?
Yeah, I have similar question. I don't really understand how posit rejection, like reject the admission, can still go through kubelet sync loop and update the status. It really don't add up for me.
Yeah, but we can take a look. I mean, it's you can put me CC to check it a little bit. But this is something we can duplicate, correct, in VM, or?
Yes,
I think we can. Sorry, go on too.
Yeah, you can replicate this issue. I can like send a script after this call. Like I'll put the replication steps in the PL.
Okay, then we can check if there's some strange case that triggers it and we get this output. I mean, yeah. So I could take a look at it out tomorrow at the office, me, just out of curiosity, because, yeah, it's interesting, if you like. And come back with the tests.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like if it's legitimate case of this can happen and it's timing or configuration of cluster, I'm totally fine with switching to exact field comparison, like only those that we change. I think ideal long-term plan may be to switch to server-side apply instead of setting the whole status on rejection. This is what we kind of was long-term like proposal from Clayton to switch to server-side apply to for all the status updates. But yeah, I guess lack of this huge refactor, we can just switch to field by field comparison, but only in case we understand why it's happened. Like if it's something else right in there, it's anyway. But let's understand what settings those fields, and then if you know what it is, and fine, yeah, let's switch to field by field. Any more comments? Okay, then thank you for bringing it in.
Yeah, thank you.
Series, you want to just talk about this one?
Yeah, this is an old one. I mean, from version 132, when we were releasing, there was some failing tests and it got approved, but then I had to rebase, and now I have to rebase again, so I lost the LGTM. So Ed has commented, Paco. So yeah, if you can take a look and just to know what to do, because I have it in my list and I just want to.
So the issue with this test, my understanding is if you have tests that only works in very specific environment, when this CRI proxy flag is passed to kubelet, and we failing test, and like the question is how we need to skip them correctly, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then it was with the discussion, there were a lot of comments. So, and I have incorporated input from a lot of people, and I mean, there was a previous PR because I changed like the company, and then so you can see the whole discussion in the previous one of all the comments. So, and the purpose is not to change or the test as is. So it was just incorporating. So Paulie had good comments. Oh yeah.
Okay, and I guess it's like we already trying to filter them out on test description, right? On test definition. It's just extra precaution.
Yeah, I would say it was like some how we were using this after and before it was a little bit problematic, and sometimes it was creating problems, and then checking the code and how we should treat the before and it's and after. This has evolved to what it is now. So yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm asking is we had this issue before. Some tests that requires one example was runtime class. Like you need to have runtime class defined on your node, so runtime class test will actually work. So we never. I don't think these tests are now skipping themselves, just like failing every time there is no runtime class. So just trying to define runtime class on every single node VM. But maybe it's a better practice to somehow check the existence of this runtime class. So I wonder if this should be common practice, like for every like when I was reviewing the CRI proxy test originally, I was assuming that we only run them in specific test definitions, and every other test definition will filter them out, so we don't need to have like very elaborate skipping logic. But maybe we need to change this practice and make sure that skipping logic is defined from get-go. Do you have any thoughts about it?
Not personally, I haven't thought about it. But if you can comment, and then we can take the discussion. Sounds logical what you are stating.
Okay. It's just very, I mean, sometimes it's too complicated. Like for runtime class, it was complicated to check the existence of runtime class because you are on. I mean, on node test is fine, but if it's about a cluster test, then it's a little harder to check the runtime class existence. Anyway, okay. So the ask here to take a look. Sorry, just sent to me.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look at the board. Items to triage. Okay, context to avoid go routine leak. Is it for tests? Anybody interested to take a look? It sounds like easy one.
I can look at this one.
Thank you. Source metrics E2E tests.
Yeah, so this one is causing a big problem in our CI right now. There was in the test grid, all the features ones are failing to do this test. Basically, the fix is pretty simple, but I guess he commented on the PRs, but you can look at if you look at the test grid for the features, you'll see it failing on any of the ones that are failing due to that running of the feature tests and the resource metrics. They're hitting these failures. If you go to like SIG Node container RD, you'll see a lot of failures to it.
Okay.
And I think the general issue was just that I think we added a new metric for container, or I can't even remember. I think it's reporting a node. We changed some stuff so that the node swap usage is being reported, and so that's essentially what this fix is doing.
Oh, and swap is enabled by default.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so this is testing, at least if I haven't looked at it since you made this change. For most of these tests that are running, swap is not on the node, but the metrics are still expected and it's doing an exact match in all the metrics.
Oh, I see. That's easy. Yeah, that's what I wanted to check, like why swap is there, and it's just a metric that being expected.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Modify how to check the status of in pod rejection status test. Yeah, this is discussed just now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you want it assigned, or you said you wanted to look at it tomorrow?
Yes. I couldn't. I can put the findings. Thanks.
Fix get pod matches should call running pods endpoint. Sound logical, but I don't exactly know this. Any takers?
Yeah, I can have a look.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Oops. And this is product code. I will get it out of this board. Okay. Yeah, we have 0 to triage. We have 21 issues to do. It's kind of a long list. Okay, this one is assigned, I believe. Maybe it's already in progress. Yeah. Seems to be assigned, so I will move to progress. This one is also assigned. Oh, August 2024. And there is a PR for this. Oh, I promise to take a look. Okay. Now I feel bad. I don't remember anything about it, but yeah, I guess I will save it to playlist. Okay, so this obviously is in progress. And we have a couple more. Cryo moving to E3 party.
That's in progress. It's going slow. I mean, I think. Wait, what was that one? I think we did. I don't even remember anymore. Okay, yeah. So I guess it was Cube Test 2. We did a lot of the pre-submits, and I think we almost have gone like this person. They are on the release team now, so they might be busy. They've been doing the change for all the pre-submits, and it was a lot of work. And then hopefully, once that is done, we can switch over the periodics. I also don't know how important. Like, I don't really know. Like, it's a lot. It's very risky to do all these migrations to do, and I don't know if like I'm fine with doing the pre-submits, but it was kind of a lot of noise.
Do you mean risky because you cannot test it ahead of time and you need to change and watch for it and roll back or fix bugs?
Yeah, and that's essentially what we would see is if you did it, if you mistakenly did it, you could drop all the tests.
Mhm.
And there's not like that's why I suggested they do the pre-submits first. We figure out all the pieces we need, and that's kind of what we were doing and slowly switching those over. I mean, we could also duplicate all of our jobs and have like the canary make sure that passes, and then we switch over. That can be what we do for the second stage of this. I also don't know really like I don't. I mean, I know Sasha created this one. I don't know how important this actually is. Like, I don't know if we're deprecating Kubernetes ete.py.
I mean, most of the tools are out of support. So we need to kubetest 2 is I guess a supported piece of code right now.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's been helpful to go through the pre-submits because there were stuff like some DRA features that we needed and other stuff that's kind of going up, and it would be nice to have our pre-submits and our periodics be the same. So okay, I will see what this person if they are. All right, if you want to comment on here. Yeah, so I guess the general, like, I think we could start switching over the periodics. I have to also look. There might be some issues. They've tagged me in asking for approvals that I forgot.
Yeah, I moved it into in progress, but if not, we can just move it back to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the correct state.
Okay. Event flag disabled. Oh, CIs. Parker self-assigned, I think.
Good old evented plague. I still don't know what our stance on that one is.
Yeah, I'll keep it in to-do list. Okay, this is test flake. That I think somebody wanted to take a look. Okay, there is a PR for this. There's not on the call, right? Discussion happening. I guess it's in progress then. Okay. This one.
We've gotten a lot of reports of flakes in especially the cryo conformance lane. This is one of those.
Do you have any updates yet?
Yeah, no, yeah, there is no update. Actually, there is likely to be a bug in the cryo side. So I like added some logging in the cryo, and like Peter updated the cryo version in the CI. So yeah, we need to investigate more.
Okay. Can you leave this comment here so we see that there is a progress happening?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Routine week runtime class.
There, you're skipping over there's one that I have on there that actually is worth talking about. The drop unlabeled test lane.
Okay. Yeah, I was only looked in something that is assigned to somebody because
Oh, I see.
progress. I wanted to move them in
No
progress.
worries. Then that's fine.
Okay, let's talk about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something I noticed that we have like a generic. We have them in Containerd also. It's just like there's like this label where we have essentially like the grab bag of tests that were not labeled by anything, and then we have a lane for that. I don't know if we like it. It would be nice to not have this
Yeah.
lane and make sure tests are actually labeled, but I also like I haven't obviously worked on it because I just haven't.
Yeah, so ultimately we just need to either apply not conformance or not feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small
And some of
warning
them.
storage here, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I don't think it's that important.
Yeah, since it's all green, it's less important. If there were some reds, and we will, if there is a red and the test actually are not conformances, then it's like bad situation. But right now it's like not origin, but it's important.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of looking at all the labels of all these tests. It's just important to start thinking about like what some of these. Yeah, I mean, some of these I don't really have a great idea of like what we would consider node conformance because some of these we could just move. Like if they're if they run, I don't think this test lane runs very slow. But I don't know if it's like okay to promote some of these like node conformance. I mean, I know one of these is a feature, the pod ready to start containers condition. Probably there was a mislabel of that test.
Yeah, those ones seems to be not conformance. Also probing.
Yeah. Well, either way, I saw you skipping over that one. I just want to bring it up, but I will not have cycles on this one, so it's not in progress at all.
How often does it run? It runs every day 2 times, so yeah, quite a waste of resource if we will move them to weekend. Yeah, unfortunately, test lane is the best way for us to catch all unlabeled tests.
Yeah, we also have a corresponding one in containerd also, so it's not just cryo side. Well, obviously
Yeah.
it's not, it's test labels.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be called orphaned, and I remember how Ilana renamed orphaned into unlabeled to not offend any orphans. So we but it existed like from beginning of Kubernetes, I believe. It just had a different name before.
Yeah, I imagine we probably won't be able to completely drop it, but yeah, evaluating these and moving them is a good step.
Yeah, it reminds me about like I mean, some kind of lookup tools that will tell where this test is running, like which jobs is defined for, would be really nice. And if we have this tooling, then we don't need a lane to detect all the unlabeled tests.
Yeah, I mean, that would help with reviews. I think the biggest problem I have with the kept process for SIG Node is I don't even know when people add tests if they're actually being run anywhere. And most of the time they're not. And then they try to promote to beta and everything breaks.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think everybody on this call aware of this problem. So, yeah, if any of you want to run some intern project to find out all the tests that running, all the test lanes that running specific test, that would be a really cool project. Really useful. I don't know about cool. It would be really useful and used a lot.
Yeah, but Kevin made actually a very good point. I mean, we should have that part more somehow documented and not part of the tribal knowledge. Okay, this is a pretty large tribe, but still, I don't know if we can make part of the template somehow or anything else.
Yeah, I mean, there is no knowledge per se. Like the only knowledge is you need to go and check all the definitions you think it can fall into, and then try to understand why some focus or skip applies to this specific test. Because there is no
Yeah,
knowledge except
yeah,
you need to know which regex to take a look at.
yeah. Good point. I don't know.
Yeah, the challenge I find is what I don't love is it seems like the answer is for alpha features, you should the developer of the feature should create a dedicated job for it. And they're the ones monitoring that one. I have not seen many people actually do that other than, DRA. And I've done it in special, like we did it for swap and for split file system work because we had to change the OS. And then some people have been doing it if the container runtime, like if there's a feature in container runtime, I've seen that. But for like a general cap, seems a little bit like overkill, but what I know most contributors are not, not that many people are familiar with all the test infra stuff. So they kind of skip the alpha stage and then they write an end-to-end test in beta. And then I hope the reviewers essentially his job is to make sure those tests are running somewhere before it's promoted to beta. And that's kind of been that seems to be the policy we're gravitating towards. Now, I don't know if that's the right approach or not. That's kind of what I've been seeing with like the alpha stage of features. And as we're discussing, like hardening Kubernetes features is probably the biggest pain point I see is like the testing requirement for these and where that has to live and whose responsibility that is. Because a lot of people, I think, want general alpha. Like they're expecting I add an end-to-end test and it's just going to get picked up somehow.
Yeah, that's fair point. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
we can make it as a requirement, and people will have to learn how to find out which test to run.
Yeah, I was thinking that we don't really need to have a new lane as long as those end-to-end tests got picked up by some lane, some exist. And in some cases, it's actually the best option, in my opinion, if we can reuse some existing lane. But we need to
yeah,
check that in review. I totally on board with that. I'm totally on board.
and like I can create an issue for that. I mean, I would love, yeah, I think like an alpha lane. The challenge always becomes like for enabling complicated alpha features that span both kubelet and API server. You have to actually manually change the job configuration because like I don't think there's any way to say like enable all alpha features in both API server and kubelet.
But there is a way to do
and
that.
no, well, there's an investigation needed because there's a service gates field and that does not work with all alpha enabled. And that's
Yes.
why all the alpha stuff has to have a special like sidecar and other features have a special thing they added to enable the API server feature gate for ETE node. Silly artificial problem we created, but
Yeah.
that's at least the only issue I find with just having it. It's not as simple as here's a generic alpha job. And I mean, it would be cool.
I think the issue was that I think what you're talking about is solvable, but what the issue was actually that when we had an alpha job, we kind of combined all the conformance tests and all the new tests into the same alpha job. And then whenever we had a failure, it's like alpha lane was always red-ish or like at least partially red, and it was a problem. So, and I think we threw baby out of with a dirty water. Like we removed alpha job that runs conformance tests now. So we used to have this job saying that at least all the regular features work with all the alpha feature gates enabled. I think we threw away this job right now, and it decreased our code coverage. But anyways, I think what you're talking about is solvable. But then second problem is we really need to craft this job carefully. So all the new tests that may start being read very quickly are not hurting the actual alpha job that is checking for like that like Kubernetes still functional with all alpha feature enabled.
Yeah, I don't have a great answer. I mean, I'm debate going back and forth on what we should do. I know that the other issue is some alpha features are special, like swap or others that do require that should be opt out entirely and be run in a separate lane. And so that's kind of where, yeah, it's like it's hard to have a general policy on some of these because it seems to change on every feature. And like maybe in the feature review process, we can call out like, dedicate, like, I mean, we having a general lane for some of these like easier alpha features that are just like an API change and a pod spec, that doesn't really have any dependency on cryo or container RD. That could be helpful.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, and another problem recently was that evented flag was not very stable. So when you enable all alpha, you get problems with from evented flag. It wasn't compatible with something else, I remember. It's another problem. Anyway, good discussion. Oh, we only have 10 minutes left, and we didn't even get to the bugs. So yeah, we have few more that is assigned to somebody. Did we discuss this already? Hayato, you're taking a lot of bugs. Thank you very much. Oh, this is the same as we discussed, right? So this is
Yes. Yeah, no
uh,
worries. It's my project.
another coroutine leak. This is what we discussed, and this was assigned to Peter. Will take a look. So this is in progress. Random class should reject a pod requesting. Oh, it's already closed? Was it just merged?
Actually, wait, I'm confused. Can you click on 13409? Okay. Yeah, I fixed this one this week.
Perfect. So
Hopefully.
yeah, so it's just closed between I opened it and yeah, cool. Thank you. What should support retrieving logs from the so add self-assigned. How long ago? Oh, last week. So let's make it in progress.
Yeah, there's like, I know we want to make sure, at least on the cryo side, that we keep, like, there are a lot of flakes that are popping up here. And, you know, if they keep having them, we might have to talk about downgrading this job. But let's hopefully we can keep looking into these.
Okay.
Because I know the release team keeps bringing some of these up as, like, at least I think Ben mentioned that, you know, it is an option that we can remove this off the release blocking if there are too many flakes. And they're pretty, I mean, they're pretty strict on having, like, the test should be completely green over like hundreds of runs, and we're not there. It was when we like thought it was, but I guess there've been more issues coming up.
Yeah, that's what I noticed as well. So we have some instability right now. Okay, we only have 8 minutes left. Let me just glance at the bug. Yeah, we have 4 bugs. Panic. Container in memory. Oh, this might be interesting. Oh, Francesco already assigned to himself. Are you looking at this?
I want to, but yeah, I will get to that. We have a series of reliability issues about the device manager, and it's not about the API, it's about the implementation. So yeah,
Accepted, right?
yes, by all means. Important long term, I think, or soon, your call. I would say long term.
Is it a regression?
No, it's not a regression, but on the other hand, it's something which is there from a long time. So it's really nighttime we fix it. High time we fix it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then yeah, we only have 6 minutes. I think we can postpone all these bugs. Actually, they all assigned, like 2 of them are assigned already, so let's quickly triage. Oh, it's also assigned to you, Francesca.
Yeah, this one is an old one. I need to get to it. Yeah, but I want to. If someone is keen to look at it, be my guest. But otherwise, I will get to that.
Should I triage accepted? Do you remember? Or it still needs to be reproduced?
Still need to invest. I think it will be triage accepted, but I want to have a look before to say triage accepted. Triage accepted.
I wouldn't do it now. Okay, so some comment here. They execute something in public exec. Yeah, it needs detailed reading, so I wouldn't go into details right now because we only have 5 minutes left, and I would rather
It's
give.
already assigned to someone anyway. I CC'd the author of that KEP, and he or she was looking at it.
Okay. Thank you. Do you think it needs to be triage accepted? I didn't get the sense whether it's a real issue or not.
Let's leave it for now.
Okay. Let's read it more next time, and it will be easier to triage. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.